Our next speaker is Adrienne Gaither. She is a Washington, D.C. based artist who creates work utilizing geometric abstraction, color theory, archival photographs, and collected objects to explore various aspects of African American life. Gaither received her bachelor's and master's degrees from Howard University in 2011 and 2014, respectively. While at Howard, she was also awarded a Special Talent Scholarship. Between 2013 and 2015, Gaither's work has been featured in a number of group exhibitions, including Black Heritage Through Visual Rhythms at the National Afro-American Museum and Cultural Center in Wilberforce, Ohio, and Fresh at Flashpoint Gallery in Chelsea, New York. She has also exhibited at Strathmore in Bethesda, Maryland, and Prism Art Fair at Miami Art Basel, as well as Mokata in Brooklyn, New York. Please help me welcome Adrienne Gaither.
Hey everybody. First I would like to express my gratitude to the artists that I'll be participating on the panel with. I'm beyond grateful to have this opportunity to be speaking with the artists that I'll be speaking with. And I would like to thank Melanie Harvey, the Howard University Fine Art Department, for this opportunity to share my work and speak to y'all about my work. And also I just want to give a shout out to my mom and my family who came out to support me. Lastly, I want to give a shout out to y'all for coming out to support us. This means a lot, and this is important work that everybody is doing. So to introduce myself, my name is Adrienne Gaither. I'm originally from Cincinnati, Ohio, and I'm a graphic designer and a painter. So a lot of times within my work, I'm grappling with those two practices and trying to find a way to balance them. Being here at Howard, going to our history classes, we learned, or at least I learned, a lot about Black art. And one thing that I noticed with Black art was that there tended to be like this pattern of successful Black artists or their work being tied to their experience. And initially I was against that. I was in protest of that. So the work that I wanted to create, I wanted to create work that really spoke about universality versus it just being about my Black experience. I felt like me being Black, a woman, and a painter was enough for me to make work, and that I didn't need to justify my Black experiences in my artwork. So because of that, at least I feel like I went way left. And so I decided to work with text and take that text, deconstruct it, and use geometric abstractions. But to use geometric abstractions to then kind of create my own visual language where I could talk about whatever I wanted to, use this language and create whatever, use this language to like express and observe the world around me, and breaking it down in a way where, you do have to look at the work, you do have to decode it and figure it out. So I wanted to change the expectation of what Black art was for me or my generation, because I kind of got overseeing the same things. So this first piece is titled Keys, which is just the alphabets A through Z. And this next piece next to it is The Heroine is Always Forgotten. So during my studies, I was looking at geometric abstract work, and I just noticed that, this is the sport for white men, and that I didn't see many Black women doing hard-edged geometric abstractions. So when I did find Black women who were geometric abstraction artists, there was so little information about us. It's as if we didn't exist. So I felt like this work in itself was a space for me to make noise about not seeing those artists. So this next piece is just me going further into that process of like working with this system that I created, and I was just looking for ways to exhaust that system that I created. So I was still working abstractly, but once I got out of the program, Professor Teresia Bush really, the one last thing she said to me, or at least pushed me to do, was get more vulnerable with the work that I was creating, because there was some sort of emotional distance that was created throughout the work that I was producing, because it didn't I wasn't identified in my work. So thinking about that, I moved into I started to collect the images of like my family, and from there I thought, you know, this is the most vulnerable space for me to produce work. And from there, I just took the system that I'd already created and tried to find ways to mash those images up with something I'd already created. I didn't want to leave it behind. So I just try to find ways to infuse them into works, and still I was having this struggle within my work about the image or representation, because I didn't feel comfortable showing my family's identity. I didn't think that was necessary. So I wanted to just offer personality, but not necessarily show who she was. I wanted, the audience to be able to interpret who she is for themselves. And then, over the last, 2-3 years, there's been an increase, or at least, I don't think there's been an increase, but we've seen more and more how like the media is showing us through like technology and I guess our cell phones. So through our cell phones, we're learning about all these injustices that are happening to Black bodies, which is, the root of where Black Lives Matter is coming from, because we're seeing these injustices of Black and brown bodies. So from there, I moved into like using images from 50 years ago, and like bringing them into a new context where it's like these are the things that we refuse to kind of like. These images have already been created, but here they are again. We're seeing these same things again. The piece reminds me of what they did to Freddie. Like, this is from 1960s, but here we are again with the same injustice happening and Black bodies being murdered. And then the other piece titled Mother's Day, I was actually watching Melissa Harris Perry and all the mothers of killed victims of police brutality were on that show, and it was during Mother's Day. And so,
It's okay, breathe. We got you, don't worry.
all right, let me get some water.
You got it.
Excellent presentation.
Thank y'all. But anyways, so like watching that experience now and knowing that I have the privilege to call my mom or call my family, they kind of hurt me because these parents are on here, they don't have their children, they don't have these people that they've, been growing for such a long time. So when I found this image, I was like, I have to do something with it. And I really just wanted to show that, like, that pain that is there, that exists for all of us when we see these tragedies. Can I get some tissue? it together now. So, like, of course, in hindsight, our vision is like really 2020, right? And one thing that I've learned, at least through just having to dig through my own work, and finding, you know, what the ties are between me as an artist and the Black Arts Movement, which was something I was kind of like, you know, I was just looking at a little sideways, is that like being under the tutelage of Professor Phillips and Achille Ron Anderson and like Professor David Smedley, Professor Bush, Janelle Pryor, like these people have pushed me and have all been influences of me working or being a Black artist and being empowered and being a Black artist and making work about my experiences. Like I've been able to kind of reach this point because they already existed. So of course I'm a product of the Black Arts Movement, but you know, it takes some time, or at least it took me some time to realize those connections because this wasn't something that I wanted to do, but over time, you know, you see the same thing over and over, and you have to kind of question, like, where do you fit into this, and what is your voice within it? Moving past these two images, I've gone back into just working with geometric abstractions, and I'll probably end up going back and forth between, you know, doing mixed media pieces and geometric abstractions, because either one serves their purpose of being my outlet. But from this moment, you know, you get a lot of conversations, at least today, or at least, you know, the folks of my generation, we are constantly, you know, trying to dissect race or have conversations about race, and people will talk about how they don't see color or how it doesn't exist or how, you know, they colorblind, so what you're talking about, it really don't matter because they love you and they like you for who you are. And so at the end of the day, you end up being like, well, you know, if you don't see color and I'm talking to you about my experience, how are you really connecting or relating? How are you really in this movement with me? You know, does Black Lives Matter to you, or is it all lives matter again? You know, so moving into that, I started to think about colorblindness and how it's like actually a genetic. It's actually something that's, you know, a genetic defect. And then there's actually like this choice to be colorblind. And so I wanted to think about, like, what does it mean when you say that you don't see color? Because when you don't see color, I got you. When you say that you don't see color, does that mean that, you know, all you're seeing are, you know, things from a white perspective? Or like, what does it mean to say that you don't see it when somebody literally can? Like, so the night shift in blue piece is, you know, this is the palette of an actual colorblind person who can't see red or green, just common in male. But this is what they actually see, you know. And so juxtaposing this actual genetic defect versus this choice is pretty much where I am now. Like, just dealing with those these colors and what they mean or what they might represent. I'm done. Thank you.